detective, you know, Mike Hammer. So we're going to do that right now. So Mike, should we please maybe have that? I'll take this off. Get this on. Investigators. Our office is located in the busiest part of the city. We like on the trail of this kitty corner to the 7-Eleven store. The day was Wednesday. The weather was hot and dry. Yeah, it's really hot. We're sitting around our toilet desk looking for the phone when all of a sudden it rang. This caught us by surprise. It never rang before. By the time we located the phone, it had stopped ringing, so we relaxed. Yeah, well, I answered the phone. I wasn't ringing. How many times you sit around your house saying, hey, the phone didn't ring. I think I'll answer it. I did that a couple of times. I was down in Dallas. Matter of fact, okay. Then the phone rang again. It really caught us by surprise. I grabbed the phone on the second ring and slowly spoke into the mouthpiece. William and Lester, Private Investigations. The voice on the other end was so low I could hardly understand what she was saying. That's because I had the receiver pressed tightly against my left ear. I shouted for her to speak up, and she did. That's when William's left ear realized what was happening. The pain was so intense, I quickly gave the receiver to Lester. I quickly hung it up. I don't want what happened to his left ear to happen to mine. Later on that evening, as we were sitting around the office, something very strange happened. The doorbell rang. We looked at each other in disbelief. We did not have a doorbell. Then the phone rang again. This time it's getting on my nerves. It was the same woman who called before and she wanted our help. I wrote down the directions to our house while William put cotton in both of his aching ears. Then I ran out front into the cool night air. I was halfway to the curb when I realized why the night air was so cool. I was naked. I ran back inside and got dressed. After Lester got dressed, we both ran out front to the car. I got in and started the motor up and we headed for her house. We had about 3 hours to kill, so we stopped by the post office and stood in line to buy stamps. 3 hours later, after we bought the stamps, we continued on to her house. The neighborhood that Listy Woman lived in was plush. The mailbox on our front lawn was bigger than the whole post office we just left. I drove up the steep driveway and stopped in front of the gigantic doors and turned the motor off. And because we were parked on a steep incline, Lester put the emergency brake on. I quickly jumped out and put 2 bricks behind the back wheels. Emergency brake never did work. I walked up the 15 steps to the big entrance doors. I was right by his side. I knocked as hard as I could on the door with my fist. I was still right by his side. I no sooner finished knocking when the door flew open, hitting Lester in the nose. The momentum just knocked me. It just knocked me. It just knocked me back down the steps. I was no longer by his side. A few minutes later, we were in her living room. Yeah, flies time when your fun happened. Time flies when you're having fun. Yeah, that too. That too. Anyway, there she was. Ta-da! She had on an outfit I had only seen in nudist camps. But she told us her problem. Her automobile was missing and she didn't know why. We finally convinced her to call her mechanic and have him tune the motor up so it wouldn't miss anymore. She was elated. She was happy too. She must have known we were the right ones for the job. That's right, because she said our check was already in the mail. See what? She said our check was already in the mail. If I would have known that, we would have picked it up at the post office while we were standing in line to buy those stamps. Well, she shook my hand, kissed Lester on the lips, whispered something in his ear, then showed us the door. I don't know why she showed us that door. Once you get hit in the face by something that big, you know where it's at. I quickly walked down the 15 steps. I took the shortcut and fell down the 15 steps. By the time we got behind the wheel of the car and started the motor up, Lester was picking himself up off the ground. After I picked myself up off the ground, I thanked myself for picking myself up off the ground. Then I ran around to the passenger side of the car, got in and closed the door on my leg. Ouch. We headed back to the office, which is located in the busiest part of the city. We like on the trail to this kitty corner to the 7-Eleven store. But all the way back, the words the Misty Woman whispered in my ear after she kissed me still haunted me. She said, "You may be wood, but I think you're wonderful." That's when I knew this clothes was cased. This case is closed. Yeah, that too. That too. Got it, man. You got it. I'm gonna do something real fast. Hang on a second.